Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing great this Sunday. And if you want to type on the chat, where are you calling from? Call. What's this? I don't know how to do that. Hi, I'm Max. Who is calling? Yay, I'm back. How you all doing? Good? Surviving the world and these beautiful ways to test our heart. But let's talk about fun, exciting, colorful stuff. And today, I did some work this week, so we could get to this point where we're gonna bring stuff to Marmoset, put some colors. So I'm gonna show you guys some progress that I did. Feel free to ask any questions about how I did certain things since we didn't do on the stream. I tried record it, but for some reason the recording didn't work very well, so I lost it. Um, I don't know what I did wrong. I do so many things wrong, but I also do some things right. You know what I mean? So, hello from Italy. Hello. I wish I was in Italy. um, cool. So let's start. Hi, Sabs. I'm doing good. Um, let's start. Like I said, I did some progress. So I'm going to show you guys, walk around the scene a little bit. Again, feel free to ask any questions about how I did certain things. And the goal today is for us to kind of try to go to Marmoset and finish it. And then at the end of the stream, I'm gonna ask you guys to help me choose what's gonna be the next archetype we're gonna do. Just a reminder, the one we chose for this time was called the Innocent. And let me share my screen and then I can tell the story of it for those who are not here since the beginning. In here, like so. This is our lady. Can you guys see it? I think you could see it, right? Cool. So, like I said, I did some good amount of work because we need to move on. So, this is where I got so far. Oh man, it was fun. It was fun posing this, guys. So I finished working on this lady. Let's start talking about the lady first, okay? Since it was where we stopped. Again, this archetype is called the innocent. So basically, the story we're telling is this lady. These animals are taking advantage of her, kind of like getting her food and stuff, but she doesn't care. She's just happy to be with them and having fun, and so that's the vibe. Um, what else? Oh yeah, for her color palette. Okay, so remember we did the creature. We used this color palette from this image here, from some underwater thing. So for her color palettes, I looked for something not too far from it, but with a little more blues instead of cyan. It has a little more blue and purplish and like yellow. But you can see it is not too far off because I told you guys, like, I'm not very good with colors. So I'm always afraid of breaking too much things. But it felt enough contrast, but not too far from each other. So I found this image and then I basically chose some of the colors on the image and applied around. So again, like it was an experimentation. Like there was a moment where her dress was darker, and then I tested putting like a light color, so it made her feel a bit more like that old lady that dressed with like light colors and then some patterns and stuff. So I liked it better her dress being light color like this kind of like very maternal blue, almost. So that's what I did for her. For the cape, someone last time mentioned like, why don't you try to do like a leaf or something? So I did kind of like showing some nature colors and some idea of what it could be a leaf, but yeah, I didn't add much detail to make it feel exactly like a leaf. So maybe they're just like nature lovers, so she cut the cloth in that way, but it's not necessarily a straight leaf, you know. What else? Yeah, I did a little bit of sculpting on her hair, you know, just a little bit. Again, like if you guys have any questions about what I'm showing, let me know and then we can talk about it. I work before I was doing like a white hair, but then looking at this image of this butterfly, I just fell in love with this um kind of like cream color. So I tried that on her and I think it worked pretty well. I noticed the hand position changed. Yes. So I was like, you know, even me when I'm like feeding my dogs and stuff, I tend to put my hand on my stomach to kind of like support myself. So I thought like, oh, it would be cool if she was just doing that. And yeah, I did that. What else? I don't think I changed anything on the face color or anything like that. It was mainly like the body. I worked a lot on it. And um yeah, for this dress, like I try to do some of the simulation that ZBrush has now to kind of get some folds. It was it got decent results, but I resculpted on top, but it wasn't like I don't know. I think I'm not using it the proper way, maybe. But I didn't get like amazing results or anything like. Yeah, so that's the old lady. I put a little leafy kind of embroidered. How do you call this thing again? Like the brochure, right? Brochure, I think that's how it's called. For her, very delicate. She's a very simple lady, so it's nothing crazy. And then, yeah, to break the symmetry, I put her hand holding herself. And then for the creatures, that was the fun part. So no questions about the old lady. Can I move forward? You have any questions on how I did? Chumpy dude is hilarious. May I ask how you approach making those cuts in the cloak? Yeah, for sure. So one way you can do that, let me get an object here so we can do it. For example, I'm gonna get a sphere. I'm gonna take this sphere here. So zoom in, I'm gonna subdivide, and I'm gonna make a mask on it, right? So let's say, for example, I want the cuts to be like this, right? This shape. Oh, I need more resolution. So let's say I want this shape like this. Okay. I want that cut on it. The more resolution, the cleaner will be. So I'm just going to subdivide one more time and then we can do very clean kind of feel. Let's say that. Okay. So I want to do that shape cut. We can use the extract or I learned a button from my friend Felipe. Call him Filipputo or FIFO, whoever you want to call him. But if I turn on the wireframe right now, right, the mask is here, but there is a button. And let me remember what that button is. Edge loop mask border. It's on tool geometry, edge loop mask border. So if you go to geometry, edge loop, there's this button here called edge loop mask border. So when you click it, oops, I need to delete subdivision, sorry. So when you click it, it's gonna create a force polygroup separation, right? So it's gonna cut perfectly. This is great for hard surface, right? It's gonna cut perfectly that separation. And then we can just select the blue one, invert, delete, hidden, and now I have this shape. And with this shape, if you want, you can zero mesh it, right? If you want a little better topology. So I can go here on zero measure, and then I can do boop. And then you get, you know, a little more decent topology. And that's how I did the cloak, the cape thingy. Is that cool? Is that clear? Okay, Let me delete that. All right, going back here. Yeah, so that's how I did this cape. You can see here, that's what I did. And then I did the zero mesh it. Yeah, no problem. My pleasure. And then I did the zero mesher and it's all good. For the creatures, yay. For the creatures, I went back to my creature here. I tried to give him like a little pompon on his tail, but I didn't like it, so I took it off. But I went back to my creature and just did a little bit more folds. I also add a fold up here, kind of like to pretend he had like a brow ridge feeling, you know. I add a little fold down here in the mouth. Um, I add this again, like before he was kind of like feeling too soft and sweet like this. So breaking that gives him a little bit more egg, right? Feeling. So I did that, and then I brought to my other scene the creature, and then I start posing them. So I started with the main story, which is right here, right? So she's giving it. I think I need to move him in even more to feel like he could bite her hand. He's like, you know. But this guy, I felt like he could be a little sweeter. He came to ask her for food, you know, and like the tail's a bit straight because he's a bit like unsure if he trusts us or not. You know, the ears are down, and wanted a little more sweet vibe to him since he approached her. But then we have this little dude that is like, oh, she is busy. So I'm just gonna take some for myself. So I made him looking at her because he's very alert, right, to not get caught. And again, I put his ears up more, so he feels like he's a bit smart. You know, he done this many times, stealing from people. And then we have this freak dude back here, which he just like, you know, walled eye, like you don't know what's going on inside his brain. I might even rotate his eyes out a bit more so it feels even more that you don't know what's going on with him. Mateus asked, what did you use to pose the character? Mateus, I use ZBrush, so I just posed inside here in ZBrush. So yeah, so you know, like if I zoom in here on this guy, let me isolate. So because we did some very quick retopo, right? I could just mask things and then move it like this. So if you have decent topology that's flowing in, you know, like what I have here, just like very clear, then you can just mask it. I'm flicking and dragging, and then you can move stuff. And so I just did that. I didn't use any rig or anything because there was too many things to do. Yeah, that's what I did. Um, you know, and it's scary at first when you start posing because you don't want to break it. But the best poses is when you start breaking things because it feels more organic, you know. So that creepy dude, like we could rotate. You can use transpose master also, yes. Um, because mine, like you know, I don't have a lot of pieces. I just went subtool by subtool adjusting stuff. But you can use transpose master for Joe. Uh, yeah. And that guy back there, you know, he's kind of like a creep. And my husband gave me this idea of putting a bunch of creeps behind here, so we just see their ears, you know, poking through, like more people it's coming for her, kind of thing, you know. So, hey Leticia, loved your presentation with Victor Hugo and Tapia. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was so sad I couldn't make it. Like, you know, we were planning so I could appear online so we could chat, but then there was no internet or something. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, but it was great because I watched it on the phone. It was a great event. So, for example, if I want to make him a bit more wall-eye, I can come here, and then I'm going to rotate those eyes outwards a bit more. So just a little bit like this, and then I invert mask. change this one, rotate out a bit. Now he looks even more creepy, like what is going on? No one knows what's going on inside that brain. For the grass, I just, it's just a strip of polys, really. And then I gave some thickness inside ZBrush. I didn't bake it yet, so if I turn off the thickness, you can see just a strip of polys like this. Then I scale something down and up, and then I just place by hand. But I'm using dynamic subdivision now to give the thickness like this. Because we use so many greens and cyans and stuff on the characters, I decided to make the grass like red. So it feels more like out of this world, and also when I was trying green, it was blending too much everything together. So the red really separates the story, one way to test colors in ZBrush, I don't know if you guys know this, but let me turn on perspective. Let's say we want to adjust the colors of the grass. A way that I love to do is you go to Poly Paint, and then there's this button here called Adjust Color, and it opens this little window where you have some options to change, for example, the red intensity or the saturation of things, right? You can make black and white, you can make super hot saturated, or you could shift completely the hue values. So before I had my grass like this, and then I was feeling it was too close to the palette. So I start changing it, and then I went slowly changing it until I got to kind of like this red pinkish feeling. And then I decided, oh yeah, that's a good color. So this is a good way to shift stuff. Like let's say we wanted to test her instead of being pink, I don't know, maybe she's gonna be blue. So I selected her, and then we could just shift and see what will happen if she was blue, or if she was, more orangey, like a skin tone. So I love this thing. And I don't know when they added to ZBrush, but it's just life saving. Cool. What else? That's it. Do you guys want to start taking everything to Marmoset? I also made a few UV sets here because in Marmoset I want to play with the roughness, paint some roughness there. So as you can see, the way I did the UVs, let me isolate here. This, take the color out. The way I did the UVs is just I poly group everything. And then you go to Z plugin, UV master, and then you can turn on poly groups, and then it's gonna make a UV island for the UV shell for each poly group. So if I morph now my UVs, you can see that at each poly group it has its own, shell. So I did that very fast in ZBrush. One thing, colors on. I did the same for the lady. I think all the I only didn't UV the hair, so we can do it together now. I also gonna merge down the hair with the bun, so we don't need to have so many pieces to manage. So I just need to check if this one has 5 subdivisions. This one has 5 subdivisions. So yeah, so I'm just gonna merge down. And now they're together. And then again, we could make some poly groups, or in this case, it doesn't matter really. So we can just let ZBrush do what ZBrush does. So I'm gonna auto group just so the two different poly groups. We could potentially take this one and just take this whole set of faces here. Oops, 1 second. This, we can take maybe this whole set of faces here, and then give a separate poly group to it. So this set of faces, if I want the cut to happen here, I can just group this one, and now we have 1, 2, so it's gonna cut, right? And we can do the same thing here on the front. I can just get a few set of faces on the front here. So I know that the cut's gonna happen there. Boop. And now if I subdivide and show it, I'm only seeing a little bit of that cut, that's fine. So now we did that, go to the lowest subdivision level. And then I go Z plugin, polygroup, unwrap, and then it's done. If I morph UVs, you can see that, those cuts we made is exactly where ZBrush cut it. So it's more predictable to kind of know what's going to happen with your model. I think our hair doesn't need to have so many subdivisions, so I'm just going to send a lower, yeah, like this. Cool. Jace asks, can you make a few loose hairs before going to Marmoset, please? Making hair so hard for me. Yeah, we can do some loose hair. The way I like to do some loose hairs, let's do that. So I'm gonna get this here. Let me turn off the floor, turn off some stuff here. So many things. I'll put the bamboo aside her. What is this? Delete. Let me just organize a little bit here. So turn off the floor, turn off the grass. Where is this grass doing here? And then turn off some. I'm going to turn off everything. Delete this. This is a bamboo. I put it here to save. Hide everything. Okay. So now we have only our lady. So for the hair, we could do a few things, right? One thing I like is to use, you can use the regular brush that is the curve tube snap. Curve tube. Where is that thing? Curve tube snap right here. Boop. Click it. So if I click and drag now, right? But you cannot have subdivision levels to use it. So I'm gonna just delete lower and then we can reconstruct later. But if I do this right now, there's a little tube that we can use as a hair. One thing that's interesting to know, right now this tube is circular, right? It's circular. It's going inside, but it's a circle. If you wanted to feel more like a flat chunk of hair, you can, on the sides down here, let's say I put 50 or 30%. So now it's going to be flatter. See how it's now like a flatter piece of paper instead of being a perfect round tube? I like to do that, especially for like very straight, tight hair like this. So we can put about, let's say like 30%. And then we can do just a few flyaways. So if we come here, I'm going to do symmetrical, but then we can break a symmetry later. So we can put one like this. Also, if you want the tip to go to a tip, right? You can go to stroke, curve modifiers, turn on size, and then here is the root. So it's making the root thin, the tip thick. We want the opposite, right? So I want the root thick and then the tip thin. So now if I draw it, boop, you can see that's doing exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do is just do a little bit like this. And that's one hair. We can duplicate these ones and make more. So what I like to do now is just I'm going to separate them from the head. Let me just turn up the poly groups here so I can see what's going on. Can hide this. And then we can say split hidden. So now they're separate supples. And then we can turn off symmetry and just do a little bit of work on it, right? So we can just do some little something here. And then we can lay this one down. If it's too high, right? It's to move smoothly for me. So I'm just gonna go to zero measure. I'm gonna just try to make less. Oops. Turn off adapt because adapt is always trying to maintain the shape. Sometimes you just want to, you see, so now it's like this very thin kind of flyaway hair. Then push it in like so. And push this to connect a little more to the back. And then this guy, maybe we can break more on the side. We can put him, this one more on the side here. Something like this to break a bit. Put the color of the hair. We get this kind of like flyaway feeling. We might need a few more, but you guys get the idea. That's normally how I do it for flyaway. If you want to do real clumps of hair, always work from big, medium, small, right? So if I get here my epic pen, what I do is before, right, we had one big shape. And then what did I do? I divided in some medium shapes. So this one, this one, this one. And then inside the medium shape, let's say this one, I start dividing some smaller things. So we have big, medium, small, right? So that's the best way to approach hair. Hair is very organic, so be careful so your hair doesn't feel too mechanical. I would say that's one big mistake we all do in the beginning when we're making hair. It's making things feel too mechanical. So if you follow that big, medium, small, at least for me, is the way that I work, that made it feel more like more organic, you know. Yeah. So we can have that going on. I think we will need some more, but I'm gonna keep it this way just so we can keep moving. So I'm gonna reconstruct subdivision on the hair. Okay. We don't need this super low res here, so I'm just gonna delete lower. And then we have this level of subdivision here. Let me see if I lost my UV. Nope, they're still there. That's great. And now we have flyaway hair. You guys didn't see it, but I organized everything here with proper names. So when we get to Marmoset, we don't get lost. So for this hair, I'm just gonna name it Oval Hair Fly View. And then we have that. Those of you who don't know, vovó means grandma in Portuguese, which is shorter than grandma, so I just put vovó. So he or she. And one thing I think I need to do also is to combine all the cloth. I don't think I combined it. Yeah, the body is separate from the arms. So I'm just gonna merge down, and then I'm gonna have to redo the UVs probably. See. So this one has no subdivision. This one has subdivision, but I'm going to. So check this out. This one, this geometry is just like this, you know, so it's paper thin. But then I applied a dynamic subdivision, right? So then it gave thickness. Everyone knows dynamic subdivision, right? It subdivides it. And also you can have this thickness thing here now. So instead of extruding ZBrush, you can use this, and then it's going to maintain the thickness that you want. And then whenever you're ready, you can just hit apply. So I'm going to turn off the subdivision. So right now I have no it's not subdivide, it's just adding thickness. And you can also add segments to the thickness. So if I go here, I can add some segments, you can see, like this. And then I'm going to hit apply. So now my geometry is applied. And then I'm going to subdivide by hand 1, 2, a few times, just so I can merge down with the body. The body has 4 subdivisions. The arms have 3. So I don't know if you guys know this, but when you merge, if they have the same subdivisions, you're gonna be able to go up and down levels. If they don't, you cannot do it. So what I can do here is just check if my clothes, I could go one subdivision level down and yeah, that's fine. So I'm gonna delete it, and now they both have subdivision 3. Then I'm gonna merge down, Oop. And now it's all together here. So if I isolate, you can see, but let me reconstruct. What I just said did not work. Why? I do not know. This one. Thank you. Oh, Felipe, I was talking about you. Felipe, I was talking about all good things, I promise. I don't know what I did wrong. But okay, let's separate it. I'm gonna separate back and then we see what happens. So I'm gonna do a split hidden. And now if I reconstruct subdivision, it's gonna let me for some reason. But on the body, let's see. I reconstruct. Yep, it's here too. So there's 3. And then the one has 3. Should work. Let's try again. I am not understanding what's going on. So I'm gonna do a merge down. Merge down. Okay. And then if I do a reconstruct, yeah, not working. Okay. So let's keep them separate. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yeah, I missed up here too. It's just split hidden. And then I'm gonna reconstruct. I probably lost my UVs, so I'm just gonna have to redo very fast. Just double check. Yeah, there's no UVs. So what I did here, which is kind of not doing very well, but what I did here is I just cut in the back. And then here I'm gonna do a poly group. And now I know that the cut's gonna happen here in the back, not in front. So if I go to my lower res subdivision and then I do wrap, and if I open my UVs, you can see that I cut in the back, which is exactly what we normally want, right? So that's great. And then now let's do the arms. So I'm down here on the arms. I'm gonna go to, I already have the poly groups that I made. So if I go here, say turn off symmetry because not symmetrical, only poly groups unwrapped. And then if I do morph UVs, you guys can see beautiful panels, everything's working. That's what we want. Okay. Nice. So I think everything has UVs now on her and on the creature as well. So let's start bringing everyone to Marmoset. So let me see if there's anything I can merge. Just okay. So brows and lashes are gonna merge together because it doesn't matter if they're. I'm not gonna put any material. It's just gonna be a color. I'm just gonna merge down again. Like I'm trying to make my life easier, so I'll have less things to manage when I go to Marmoset. So that's good. And let's take old lady. So one important thing here to think about is what level of subdivision you're going to bring to Marmoset, right? Because if we bring things too high res, it's going to start making our scene very, very heavy. So what I'm doing here now is just going down to some level of subdivisions that it holds the detail, but I'm not like in super high res. This thing is low res, which is fine. Her face, for example, let's see. So I have about 284 thousand. If I go down one level, does it change anything beyond? I'm seeing the, the squares. That's fine because Marmoset's gonna do normal smoothly. So I think I can go one level down. I wouldn't do it on her face, but because we have creatures and other things, it might become heavy the scene. So for the hair, I think I can go to like this level probably, or this one. it would hold up. Yep. Let me see her thingy here. Go probably like this level is fine. And then the rope is pretty high, right? So it doesn't matter. So yeah, so I'll bring these levels here, and I think that would be good. Hello from France. Hi. Bonjour, comment allez-vous? That's all I know. Je m'appelle Leticia. Sorry, my French is not super strong anymore. I used to be decent. Okay, so with that done, I'm gonna separate her. Ça va très bien, merci. Je m'appelle Yang. Hi. Je m'appelle Leticia. Okay. Cool. So let's bring this to Marmoset. Okay, so I isolated just her. So we only see her in the scene, as you can see. So we're gonna go one by one. So we go clean and nice. So that's why I create folders in Zbrush, because I can isolate the creatures and everything, and then it's easier to export. The way I like to export the Marmoset is using FBX. So I'm gonna go Z plugin, FBX export, and then you can see here, I think by default it comes with the button selected, but I want visible. Anything that's visible on my ZBrush is gonna go together in one FBX. That's exactly what I want. So I'm gonna put visible. I don't change anything else. So I'm just gonna say export, and then in our scene here, I'm gonna create a folder called Marmo for Marmoset. I'm gonna go inside, and then I'm gonna put my object. So in this case, it's Vovó, and I'm gonna put 0, 1 because I might try different iterations so we can see. And then I'm gonna say save. It's exporting. Gotta give some time because we have pretty dense stuff. So you can see that it's going through everything, but it's only exporting what is visible. When this message file exported appears, that's when we're good. So let's open Marmoset. Go there. I just bought 3D Enjoy. I love sculpting with block out like the way you do on your work. Thank you. Yeah, I love doing that way too. You know, it feels pretty clean. It feels fun. There is a new version I'm not gonna download, but let me put this here. All right, I'm going to like this. You guys can see. All right, so now I'm gonna import. So Marmo Vovó, and now she's here. Yay! We got her. We got. So we can do a few things on her before we bring the rest of stuff in. One very, very, very important thing that you gotta understand is that because I didn't set my scale properly in ZBrush, this is a very, very minuscule, tiny model. How do I know that? If I go to the settings here on a viewport of Marmoset, and I turn on show scale reference, you can see that this is what a human should be. I know she's small, but imagine she would be half of a human, but she's like the size of a little ant, right? So we got to be aware of that. I could scale up here in Marmoset. I don't think I will. I'm just gonna work the wrong way, which is the wrong scale. That you're gonna see some problems gonna happen because we're in the wrong scale, but which is nice. I can show you guys how to work around that. All right, so one important thing to think about here, for example, is the cape feels very low res, right? It's not smooth. Cool thing is that the new Marmoset, you can smooth things now. You can add a modifier of smoothing. So if I double click on the cape, you can see here now in the object that there is a little node called subdivide and the level. So I'm gonna click subdivide. You can see now it's smooth my cape. And I can increase maybe to 2 levels, and now it's all smooth. Same thing for the bamboo, it's very low res. If I click subdivide, add maybe 2 levels. So you can do that too. For example, the wings, I think they're very low res. So again, I'm gonna add subdivide, add 2 levels, and you can do that. The little flyaway hair, I can add a little bit. So you don't need to bring things super dense from ZBrush, you know? I think that's it. We need some smoothing. Cool. So now, one thing I like to do also is to the camera right now. If I click on my main camera, it has 28 millimeters. That's very open angle. So I'm gonna put maybe like 60, so it feels flatter. The camera. That's feels a bit better for me. We might change it when we bring the whole scene, but for now, that's good. Cool. All right, so let's set some quick materials here. Well, actually, we should probably do some. Oh, one thing I like to do before anything is this organize the materials inside a folder. So I know this is all the grandma's materials, especially when we have a scene full of stuff. It's good to create folder and put the materials inside. So I'm going to select the material, any material, and click on the folder here. And you can see down here now there is a little folder, and I can change that to Vava. That will be her folder, and I can copy all the materials I want to that folder. And now it's going to be much easier to work with because we can collapse the folders, and then you know exactly. So now I can collapse, and then I have everything for Vava inside here. Cool. Any questions so far? Everyone's good? Okay. So first thing I like to do is to just fix the lighting. The basic lighting that comes in Marmoset, it's not the greatest to see what's going on. So we know we're gonna be inside, like we are outside in nature. So if we go to the library, instead of using inside scene, we can try to find something outside. It doesn't have a lot of crazy colors or anything like that. Maybe we can try to find one that has a little more red on it, just because the grass is red. It doesn't have to be. I'm just looking to see if there's anything cool. Also, we gotta decide on the time of the day. I'm gonna make like a regular, like midday or something like that. You can see there's this image here. If I double click, you can see that has some pink because of the sky, how it is. That's too much influence though. We can do that by hand. So what I'm gonna do is just pick something like this one maybe. It's downloading. Second. I think this one is cool because the light is a bit diffused. And it has some like blocks on the light, which is gonna create a little complexity when you rotate the light. You can see it's a bit on the soft side. But we have no shadow projections yet, right? That's because we gotta create a main light still on it. So right here on the HDRI, if you click anywhere where the sun is, let's say right about here, then it creates a little light, this light here. Put it completely white. And this light, we can change, obviously, the brightness of it and also the shape of the shadow of the light. I mean, so that's that. Someone said, let me see, how much time do you have to spend per day to progress well by working in this way? I don't have much time. I have about like, I save myself about an hour a day to work on things that I want to work. So you got to be very objective when you're working. Robo asks, I'm late to the stream, but wow, the character looks cool, and the Marmoset subdivision has great. It was great. Thank you. Yeah, the Marmoset subdivision is good because you don't need to bring super heavy stuff, and you can subdivide here. Okay, one important thing about the new Marmoset is that you have ray tracing, right? Right now we don't have ray tracing on. So if I turn it on, whoa, much better, right? You can see the shadows working. If I go back to my light, this shape here is how harsh or how soft your shadows will be. So if I go back to 0, You can see that now it's very harsh. If I start increasing the diameter of my light, not bad. Still pretty hard. Am I on the right line? Think so. Interesting. Well, supposed to soften. It might be my problem of scale, because my character is not proper scale. But for now, let's keep going. We might, when we bring everything, I can just scale the whole scene. That might solve it. One thing also in the render is when you're using ray tracing, there are only two things you need to understand. That's why I love Marmoset, because you can do so much knowing very little. The only thing you need to understand is the bounce. What is bounce? When your light comes from the sun here, so we have our sun. Doop, 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 doop. When your light comes, it will hit the character and it will go someplace else, right? So the light hits the floor, goes someplace else, hits the character, goes someplace. So how many times this light ray is gonna bounce around is the amount of bounce. That very simple, right? So imagine if you have more bounce going one, it hit here, hit her face. This is one. So that means that it's gonna be darker. If you have light rays bouncing a model, that means it's gonna be lighter, right? So if I go here and I start increasing the bounce, you can see that my model from 1 to 2 especially, you can see 1, oops, how did I, here. From 1 to 2, you can see there is a increase of how bright the model is just because the light rays are bouncing more. So I like to put about like 8 bounces. The more you have, the more real world feeling it's gonna be. Because light rays, they bounce a lot, the photon. But for now, let's put like 6 or something. This is gonna increase the render time. You can see here there's a little bar in the bottom that's calculating. So yeah, I like to put 6 to 8 is enough. All right. So now transmission. Transmission, I'm gonna have to put some transmissive object, right? So transmissive material, which is like skin or a leaf, things like that. Mateo said, would you use the color apply in ZBrush? Yes, we're gonna do that right now, Mateus. I mean ZBrush color. So the poly paint, I'm gonna use it here inside ZBrush. So if I take her face, for example, so I double click, it's gonna select the material here. So if I go here, instead of using the albedo, which is this color here, you can see, well, I don't want that. I'm gonna put back to white. Instead of albedo, I'm gonna use vertex color. Vertex color is the same thing as poly paint color. It's based on the vertices of the model. So if I click it, yay, her color is here, as you can see. Cool. All right, so now that we have that, let me rotate my light. I'm gonna put behind here just so we can see the transmission working. So transmission is how translucent, how the transmission of a material, right? So if I put the light in the back, we can add transmission to this material. So I'm gonna go here, transmission, and I'm gonna put subsurface scattering or volumetric scattering. Both of them are very good for skin. Subsurface scattering is not physically based, volumetric scattering is. So if you want a more realistic, you go to volumetric. If you want a bit more stylized, you go subsurface. So I'm gonna put volumetric first, just to see. So you can see now the scatter. So the light rays are going inside. So let's understand this. I have right now for transmission, I have 4. So what's going on is the light rays coming, going through it, bouncing 4 times inside the ear. Okay. If I had none, I'll go back to 0, you can see that no light is going through. If I go to 1, there's 1 bounce going on. Go to 2, there's 2, 3. You guys got the idea, right? So I like to put this very high because I love skin shader stuff. I'm gonna put like 14. So my numbers are normally 8 for bounce, 14 for transmission for pretty much every scene I've ever made. Because I like it. It works. So you can see now she's very waxy, right? Why is that? Again, our scale is very tiny. Our character is tiny. So that means that any material I put on it is going to be very waxy because the material is supposed to be for a big object, right? By default. So remember that. So if I rotate my light now, you can see the subsurface happening. Another important thing about subsurface, it's very waxy, as you can see, but the color that is bouncing inside the character is this kind of like orangey, soft orangey color, which is normally what you want for a human with, orangey skin. In her case, we can make a bit more pink, the bounce inside. Just gonna put a bit more pink. Again, this is very, very waxy, right? So I'm gonna tone down the amount of scatter depth. So let's put like 0.3. You see now the light is going through a little less, still pretty waxy, but also the roughness, the roughness of the model is very high, so it's very reflective. So if we go down here to roughness, it's 0.3, I'm gonna put 0.5. So it's gonna be a bit more diffuse, see? 0.5 might be too much. Let's put 0.45. I want a little reflection, but not too much. I want her to feel very soft, right? Old people, they have that kind of soft feeling, peachy feeling. One cool thing, I said the word peachy, is that we can, I'm gonna put 43. We can add some peach fuzz here. So on the skin shader, there is a fuzz node, whatever you want to call this, that look at the edges of the object, okay? So right now there's no fuzz on the edge. If I increase the fuzz to, let's say, a bunch, you start having this little, it's almost like a contour of fuzz around the object. That makes things feel a bit softer, which is kind of nice. So I'm gonna put about 0.4 of fuzz. And then she has a little bit of that soft feeling. Cool. We didn't adjust too much the lighting yet, obviously, as you all know. Let's just put the colors on her and then we can bring some other things. Always save, right? Hopefully. So I'm gonna put here innocent scene 01. So the easy way to put colors on things is just you double click the object. It's gonna go to the material. You go here to albedo, vertex color, beautiful. The roughness, I normally tend to set everything to 0.5, which is kind of mid. And then I go one by one adjusting later. So for the hair, same thing, double click, vertex color, roughness of 0.5. This guy, same thing. So you guys got the idea. So just gonna go do it fast. And then we can, whoop, this one, this color, roughness 0.5. Whoop, whoop. Arms, same thing. We could put the same material we did for the face on the hands as well. We don't need to make it from scratch. So 5. So on the hands here, I'm just gonna take the material for the face, which is this one. I'm gonna apply to the hands. Boop. And then this guy. For this guy, we could make it a little metallic just to create contrast. Everyone remembers my favorite word, contrast. So if we wanted to make this metallic inside here, right now the metalness is set to 0, so it's non-metallic. And then if I put to 1, it becomes a metal, right? So we could look from far. I don't know if metal is going to be the way, but if we're going to want metal, this color green is too dark. Metal colors are very, how can I say it? Very light color. You see how it feels like wrong? It feels broken because my green is too dark. So if I turn off the vertex color, oops, 1 second. I did it wrong. Hi. Can you make a screen a little bigger, please? You mean like this? Like this? What did I do here? Gotta put back the albedo. So right now you see it's white, so it's like a metal. If I want that kind of greenish color, I'm gonna go to green, but I gotta put very light green so it looks more realistic, the metal, you see. And then the roughness is set for 3. So I'm gonna put 0.4 maybe, so it's a bit less shiny metal. I don't know if I'm like it being a metal, but let's keep it for now to see how it feels. We're missing the wings, so let's zoom in. And I'm gonna do the same thing we did, but on the wings, I want subsurface as well, because it's gonna look cool. So if I go here, I'm gonna put vertex color. Again, we can go here in transmission, turn on the volumetric, and you can see now we have subsurface. But remember, the surface color is set to orange. In this case, because the wings are mainly blue, I'm gonna set it to blue, or maybe like a cyan. And obviously it's super intense, so I'm gonna put 0.2, and you can see that it's a little bit going around. We can try, let's try a pink. Red is pretty cool. Put 0.1. And again, the roughness, I'm gonna put 0.5 for now. Now we get subsurface there. Let me put to render, put the light on the front here. And I'm gonna let it render a little bit just so you all can see what's going on. Let me read the chat. Are you using subsurface scattering? Yes, I'm using volumetric scattering, which is a new thing in Marmoset. It is a bit more correct physically, the way that it splits the RGB rays. So I prefer using that, but you can use both of them. Hopper said, this is great stuff. I'm actually currently trying to render a character in Marmoset right now, so you were setting to help me out. Yay! I'm glad to help always. I think she's feeling pretty subsurfacey still. We might want to tone it down just a smidge more. So right now I have a scatter of 0.3. Let's put 0.2. This is a little less. And later we're gonna put a light so we can have some scatter on her ears. It's gonna look cool. All right, so let's call it she's set for now, right? We are gonna work a bit more, but for now, let's say she's set. Let's bring some other creature for our scene. So let me save it. One cool thing you can do is to always, here on the viewport, there's full quality, so it's rendering, everything that we set on the ray tracing. You can put on draft, just so it's a bit faster, the viewport, and then it's easier to work with. And then you can go back to full quality when you're ready. So for now, I'm going to turn draft on. And let's bring someone else to this. Yay. So I'm going to hide her. I'm going to turn on the other creature, which is the one eating. So let's bring this little guy. Let me see if I can merge anything. We can merge the teeth, I guess. Let me merge the teeth down. We have the eyes, the body, teeth, and tongue. Tongue, I'm going to keep it separate. So we got that. And again, let's see if there's anything that could be a lower subdivision level. So the teeth is fine. The tongue, let me see. Yeah, we can add subdivision there. And the body right now is 223. I'm going to keep it, again, he's a character, so I'm going to keep it high res. And let's export. So I call this one C for creature main 01. Say save. It's exporting. Galen said, hello, would you recommend Marmoset renders instead of Arno renders for portfolio pieces? If you're a modeler, yeah. I mean, if you're trying to do like crazy lighting and stuff, you can still do it in Marmoset, being very honest. But for me, because I'm a modeler, Marmoset, it's more than better than amazing to me to work. So, and it's easier, it's faster, in my opinion, right? Some people might say different things, but for me, it's what it is. One thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the color for the background, and I'm going to put like a mid light gray, just so we can see what's going on. So let's bring the main creature. So here it is. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse this. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this C main, C for creature. And I'm going to get everything for the creature and put inside that folder. Gotta be organized or else it's chaos. All right. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's do what we just did with the grandma. I'm gonna turn on the quality of render just so we can see what's up. So I'm gonna select the body of the creature. I'm gonna turn on vertex color. You can see now a color came. Then for the roughness, I'm gonna put 0.45. So, maybe he could be more jelly. Let's put 0.4 just to see how it feels. And then I'm gonna add transmission. I want him to be very translucent, funny. So I can volumetric scattering, turn it on. The color is the orangey. So it might not work well because he's cyan. So it's kind of working well. I'm gonna keep it, but obviously it's way too translucent. So let's put 0.3. You guys see the difference? Like if I put 5, it's like super like candle feeling, right? Waxy. So, which is kind of interesting too. If it's hard. I like subsurface, so it's dangerous because I want to make everything super subsurfacey. So I put 0.4. For the eyes, double click again. I'm gonna put vertex color. And we know the eyeballs is very wet and shiny. So in this case, I'm not gonna put 0.5 on the roughness. I actually gonna put like 0.1 so we can see the highlight going on. You see that we see the forest on his eyes now? So that's what we want. And then on the teeth, we can, let's select the tongue. We're gonna add subdivision. And I'm gonna put some vertex color. The roughness, the tongue is pretty shiny, so I'm gonna keep 0.3. And then for the teeth, same thing, I'm gonna put vertex color. And the roughness at 0.3, but also on the teeth, I'm gonna add some volumetric shader, but on the teeth in general, you put a little bit of a blue tone or yellowish, depends on what you want. I'm gonna put more like a blue tone for transmission. And now we have a creature. This lighting is not done, as you can see. We could work on the lighting a little bit now that we have them. Also, you can add a shadow catcher in Marmoset, which is basically a floor to kind of see where your shadows are going. Since we don't have a floor yet, so always saving every scene. Let's see what's going on here. Prashant, hey, what's up, man? Hi. Nice to see you here. Main said yes or no. I did not hear. What was the question, Main? Sorry. Could you type the question again, Main? If you don't mind. All right, so let's do a little fixing on this lighting, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna start from scratch. So I'm gonna go here on the library, and I'm gonna maybe get something a bit more open instead of having those trees. It's kind of cool though because it reflects, but I think to set ourselves to success, we need something a little more basic, like with some clouds in the sky and things like that. So let me see. Maybe this. This one is very pop light. You guys can see. Look how cool. Like I didn't put any textures, anything yet, but look how cool. It's just like the subsurface. I just love subsurface so much. Main said finally Marmoset or Arnold for render. I mean, for me, because I'm a mauler, I just want to make pretty renders, like simple. I prefer Marmoset just because it's easiar for me. It's like it's fast, it's more fun in a way to work with. Arnold is very powerful, don't get me wrong. Like it, if you want like powerful results, I'll definitely go to Arnold for that. But for me, I just want something to look cute. So I'm not too concerned about getting all the amazing things that Arnold can do. So I just stay in Arnold most of the time. But we can use in Arnold, sorry, Marmoset, but we can use Arnold on our next model if you guys want. Maybe, because it's been a while for me. Oh, another thing we can do on the creature. No, no worries, me. I'm glad to repeat myself, no worries. One thing we can do on the creature is to add the fuzz, just like we did on the lady skin. You see the little fuzz here? So we can go here and just add, I'm gonna add a ton of fuzz just so we can see what's going on. So you can see how now there's this like fuzz feeling on the edges of things. Maybe it was too much. Let's tone it down to 0.5 of fuzz. Yeah. All right, let's bring the other creature. So let me save. I'm gonna go back to draft quality just for now. And this creature is done. Let's go to creature bamboo, which is this one. Oops. This guy here that is eating the bamboo. And I'm gonna turn on the bamboo to go together with him to be all one thing. That will be easier. So I'm gonna move the bamboo folder down there. Oops, what did I do? That's not what I wanted. Bamboo folder, move it down. Do, 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 do. Okay, so they're both gonna go together like this. I'm gonna go here, deplug in, visible, export, and then I'm gonna call this C bamboo boo 01. Hermit said, what do you think is best for stylized character? Texture, painting, Zbrush, substance painter, or 3D code? Well, if you want to do like a full piece with like very detailed texturing, for my opinion, substance painter is so powerful. You know, we're gonna paint some stuff in Marmoset. Marmoset has a painter inside it as well. I love Marmoset. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm in love with Marmoset, but the painting is a bit finicky. So I only do basic stuff there. But if I need to do some very intense painting, I normally would go to substance painter. Yeah. But I mean, I texture a long time just using Photoshop. You can use 3D code. It's whatever, right? I'm just saying my preference. It would be substance painter in that case. All right. Let's get the other creature going here. The cool thing about what we're going to do now is we can copy the materials from this creature to this one, right? We don't need to make it all again. But the creature has its materials here. So just for organization, like I said, I'm going to put it inside a folder. But I'm not going to use those materials, to be honest. I'm just going to organize here. And I'm going to call this C bamboo. But I'm going to go to the C main and copy the body to this one, the eyeballs to this one, zoom in, the teeth, and that's it. And then for the bamboo, we could copy this bamboo material, or we can just click it and do it again. Vertex color, and then on the roughness, I'm gonna put point. Actually, bamboo is pretty shiny, right? So I think I'm gonna keep it at 0.3. It's gonna create what? Contrast. And that's important because those creatures are very soft. So whatever we can get some hits of specular, it's gonna be nice. Again, we can select the bamboo, subdivide by 1. 1 is fine. And then for the rope, rope in general, right? It's not shiny. So I'm just gonna put 0.5. That's it. Let's turn on the quality here so we can see what's going on. Hey, let's see the question here. Oh, no question. Okay, I already read down. Can you guys see the subsurface going on his ears? It's pretty cool. Some could say that's too waxy, Leticia, but life is short. I'm gonna make things the way I want. Okay? And have fun. Because life is short. All right. So let me see if, oh yeah, we don't have any lights, directional lights yet. Okay. So we got that. Let's keep bringing things in. So let's get the creepy creature. Looking so good. Marmoset seems powerful. Yeah, Marmoset's pretty powerful. And I'm not like a big lighting texture person. I mean, I love doing it, but I wouldn't say I'm very good at it. So there are some people that use Marmoset, like my husband, for example, and they just do crazy stuff because they're so good at texturing and all that thing. So yeah, you can do pretty good in Marmoset, let's say. All right, let's get the other. Pedro said, "Hi, Leticia. Wow, so much progress. Is looking awesome. Thank you, Pedro. I had this has been so fun. I don't want to stop, but we're supposed to start another archetype, so we have to pick another archetype at the end of the stream. All right, so creature up is the creepy guy. This guy here, creepy. He's all mushed. Don't mind that because he's gonna be in the back, so it's fine. Let me merge the teeth. Merge down. Really want to see how you handle the lighting. Yeah, let's play with the lighting when we bring everything there. I think it's gonna be cool. All right, so we have only this visible. Let's export. So this is gonna be creature up 01. Creepy one is funny. This creepy one was my husband's idea. He always likes the creepy stuff. All right, let's go to Marmoset. Import creepy guy. He's back here. And again, same thing. We can just get the materials from the main character. So I'm gonna put body here, eyeballs, tongue, and teeth. Whoops, I put teeth on the wrong place. And teeth and body here. All right. I don't know if I put correct. Nope. I think it is now. Okay. That's our creepy guy. Remember, it comes with the materials. So what I'm gonna do, same thing. I'm gonna call this C up. And just put the materials in there. When you have big scenes, you gotta really think about being organized. Trust me, I try many times to be disorganized and they always backfire. So, okay. So now we have this going on. So we have a foreground story here, and then this creepy guy is gonna be in the back a bit more. It's gonna be funny. What's going on here? There's some teeth floating here. Who is it from? Okay, it's gonna delete. Teeth. Okay. So let me render a little bit just so we can feel it. Yay! It's looking pretty cool. And this is the main story, right, for us. So now I can bring the floor and I can bring the grass. And we can see, wow, he is drooling for some bamboo. Yes, bamboos are tasty. I don't know. Oh, they are tasty. All right, so I'm going to hide the creature and I'm going to bring in the grass and the floor. So this is what I have: glass, grass, and floor. And inside Marmoset, I can take some grass and spread around as well. We don't need to do everything, Zbrush. So I separated some clumps of grass, like this clump here, and then we can move it around in Marmoset, duplicate, and do some staging on it. For now, I'm gonna bring this guy. So let me just see how many poly. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, one thing about the grass, remember, they have dynamic subdivision on, so I need to apply to all the grass the dynamic subdivision. So I'm gonna say apply. Now they're like this. So just bear with me. I just need to go one by one and apply the subdivisions. I already did to this one. Apply. This guy. Apply. And I could merge them, I guess, but I want some separation just so we can stage in Marmoset. Like I said, so we don't need to come back too much to ZBrush to do stuff. All right, so let's go. Z plugin, export. I'm gonna call this round 01. Export. It's mandatory to create UV maps in ZBrush before exporting to Marmoset. Not at all. If you want to use only the poly paint, you don't need UVs at all. I only did the UVs because if I want to paint any maps, I do need the UVs. But if you only want colors, like what we did here right now, if we said, this is what I want, I would never need to do any UVs, right? Because I only need the colors of the objects. So let's import the floor. Is that clear, Mateus? All right. So I'm going to select the floor. So all of this is going to be floor. So again, I'm going to create a folder and put it all inside there so we don't lose track of life. Okay, cool. And now I can select the floor and put the vertex color, which is this color. It's very rough floor, so I'm going to put 0.7 just to make it rough. And for the grass, I have a ton of grass, right? But I only want to have to apply to one material. So I could go here in the outliner, select all the grass, and apply just the same material. And then hopefully that would work. I think it will. I just need to apply to the things here. I don't know if I apply to everything. All right, grass. Okay. And then there's this little grass here. All right. So for the grass, I put vertex color. I'm going to put the roughness 24 for now. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do, to be very honest. Let me turn off the shadow catcher because we don't need anymore. We have a floor. For the floor also, I might not use vertex color. I might use albedo, and then we can just set by hand the color here. So maybe it can be a bit darker tone, earthy tone. Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do here. All right, let me save it. Let me see if there's any. I need this as my wallpaper. Let's try to make it look good, and then you can use it as a wallpaper. Right. So we have creepy guy there. Let's try something with our camera. So it's important to set our camera now and think about our composition, right? So I'm going to create a new camera. I'm going to call this, main. Up here where the cameras stay. And then here you can see I can choose the camera. So I'm on main. So if we go to main, there is a thing called save frame where you can determine the size of your save, where it's going to be the render, right? So if I make Marmoset a bit smaller, you can see the save frame going in here. So before that, we need to establish what the aspect ratio of our image will be. I like more square things. So right now it's 1920 by 1080, which let's keep that. Let's keep that ratio. So let's keep that ratio for now. But I do love doing more square images, but let's keep the default. Okay. So now with our camera, we can decide, obviously, again, like how big the distortion of the camera will be. So let's say I put 20 here. And I zoom in, you can see there's a lot of distortion now. If I put 100, the opposite happens. It gets very flat, right? So I want them to feel miniature. Imagine that this lady's like the size of a dog. She's a little fairy. And they're very, very tiny creatures. So for that, we can put a lens of like, I don't know. Let's try 50. See what happens. 50 might be too much. Let's put 60. And one thing that makes things feel very miniature is the focus, right? The blur of things. So, valeu, Ana, valeu. Ana said, great model. What rules or ways are you always thinking for composition? Um, to the rule of thirds. So let's say if we divide this by 3, we can kind of think about where the main story, I can try to keep it like in 1/3, or sometimes I don't care for any, I just go by my gut, to be honest. So this is pretty good for me. Like, she's important on the scene. There's this spiral that okay, so let's do this. I divide by 3, right? So there's like this, there's like this, there's this like spiral going on here. So, we can talk about this. It's not so much my focus sometimes. I just get the feeling of the story I want to tell. Um, so let's play with the focus, like how blurred it's gonna be. So if I go to focus here, the depth of field is turned off. So I'm gonna say we can do ray trace depth of field, which is based on the ray trace calculation, or post effects, which is a bit faster. But let's try ray trace, see what we get. All right, so all it's blurred. So I turned on sticky focus because I wanted always the focus on something, but I didn't say what do I want yet. So I turn on sticky focus, and with the mid mouse click, you click where the focus is gonna stick. So I'm gonna put on the lady's face. So and now you can see that her face is in focus. Everything else around is gonna defocus, right? Obviously, it's too much depth of field. So we can go here now and play with the focal distance and with the focal length. So let's do the focal length first. So if I start moving this, you can see that the more the lower the number, the more blur I'm getting. So the higher the number, the less blur I'm getting. So let's go like something maybe like this. I want to read that guy in the back. We might need to move him forward a little, but let's put 32. We can kind of see what's going on. I'm going to keep it as strong just so we can really understand what's going on. Yeah, golden ration technique. That's right. That is always going to work. So you guys can see that there is a blur now in the back. And I want to put some grass here in the front, and then we can get some like foreground element. One important thing about composition is to think about foreground, midground, background, right? So right now I have my midground, which would be this. We have a background, which would be this. So now we need some foreground, maybe like some plants here to create the 3D feeling of a composition, right? So we have 3 layers, 1, 2, 3. Cool. All right. So we got the creepy guy there. So I don't want to mess around with this camera right now anymore, for now at least. So I'm gonna lock it, and I'm gonna go back to the other camera. And also you can divide here we have a division, right? So now I can have my main camera here. I can see what's going on. And then on this one, we can play with the grass. I'm gonna select some blades of grass, and I'm gonna put the pivot point to the grass. And then I'm gonna duplicate. Same thing as most softwares. You can click here to duplicate, or you can do Control D. And I can bring this grass for the foreground. So I'm looking here, I'm moving here, but I'm looking here, what's going on, right? And kinda move this up and down as well. We can rotate also, just kind of like coming from the side feeling like this. And you can see what's going on in our main scene. It's kind of closing the scene, which is nice. And then we can get same thing. I can get that Control D, and then we can come to this side and play around maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Something like that's be cool. I mean, this floor needs some rocks. It's too clean. What we can do is try to scale the floor a little, just so we can get some of the detail I sculpted, because made it big. Wait, something is going on. Just gonna make a bit smaller. Okay. I love how your brain works. Yeah, I'm trying to make the less amount of work for us, right? Like try to compose, but not too much work. We could get one more layer of grass here, like this one. Let's see, this grass here, and this one in the back. We can duplicate again if we want to make it feel even fuller. We can duplicate, maybe scale up a bit more to create like a bit higher, bigger grass back there. Rotate a bit, so. But again, always looking here, see what's going on. So it might be too blurry right now as we expected. So I'm gonna go to my camera and maybe instead of 23, let's put 32. See what's up. Yeah, we're gonna need some rocks or something for this floor. It's too bare right now, but that will be fast. All right, so one thing we can do as well, remember I said like we're gonna have some of the up creature going around. Center. Up creature, I'm gonna put 2 here. And then I'm gonna edit the pivot point to where it is. And then we can move it, maybe put in one in the back here, being a creep as well. Oops. Up creature. Being a creep back there. We got to think about if we are having too much stuff in one side, if he should be like halfway there on being seen or even more back so he gets more blur. This, it might be that he needs to go someplace else. I'm gonna keep it here for now, and then we can duplicate again and maybe have one more somewhere around here. Somewhere around here. And they all staring at grandma like creeps. So there's that. So if we don't want to be so blurred, we can always move forward more to the grass, and then it's gonna be less blurry. Right? So if I put more here, it's definitely less blurry. So we can put around here, just like right over there. I don't know, composition-wise, it's working for me, but we can put close to the other one where they're like in pack. Something like that. For the color of the sky, we can now put some bluish tone so it doesn't feel so. Maybe it's like a more, what's the word? Foggy day, hazy. So the blue is more baby like this. Or since this is a different planet, we could put like a different color on the sky. I don't know. Maybe let's keep it blue, or cyan, something like that for now. Okay, so let's do some lighting. Cool. So right now I only have this sky going on. As you can see, it's a overcast day, right? There's no like very pointy light. One thing we can do before we do anything, we can just play with different HDRIs just to see how it feels. Robo said if the guys in the background had a missive on their eyes, it may be cool. Yeah, that could be cool. That would be creepy as hell. We can test that out. All right. I think we're gonna need a bunch of them actually to make that feeling of like, oh shit, she's gonna, they're gonna eat everything she had. We might need to do that, to be honest. We might need to duplicate and put a bunch of little guys back there. And I think that's gonna create that kind of like feeling that, she's surrounded or something. So yeah, it's gonna do that. Let's add more, but for now, let's work on the light because that's not gonna change much what we need to do here. So I'm gonna lock my camera. Let me get some water. Galen asks, did you export a normal map from Zbrush or you don't need for this model? No, I export the high res because nobody got time to make maps, you know what I mean? It's just having fun here. It's not like I'm gonna, apply for a texture job with this project. I'm just trying to tell a story. Definitely if you like want to apply for a job and you want to show that you can do those things the proper way, you should definitely do the proper way. But in my case, I'm just making an illustration. So I'm just doing the most basic way so I can finish fast, basically. You know what I mean? Cool. So on our sky map, let's try a different map. Anyone has any ideas? We can try to do a maybe let me get some color here. This one is like has some blue. Ooh, it's too. This could be a cool nighttime. But since we're outside, I'm gonna keep it simple. Let me see this one. This one kind of like a sunset feeling, which I don't know. This one is very like sunny, very sunny. Let's see something with clouds. Maybe this one. Salve, vou salvar. Someone's telling me to save it. Gibaros. Okay. I think this one looks pretty decent. We're gonna create some lights, but let me save the scene. Or salve is just like hello in Portuguese sometimes as well. Is that what you say? It could be. Okay. This one is very sunset as well. I want something more simple. We don't need to go insane. We can just get. Ooh, this one's pretty interesting. Is this the same I was using before? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop scrolling. I'm just gonna scroll one more time, I swear. Just to see if there's anything. I could do this for hours because I like to try to find a cool HDRI that gives me like a very good place to start. But we don't got time. So I think I'm gonna keep the way it is. So here's how I like to do lighting in Marmoset, okay? We have our sky. Basically, our sky is doing the whole lighting if you think about it, right? But I want to use my sky more like a bounce light thingy. So I'm going to put 0.3. So you can see that's kind of giving a feeling to the scene, like ambient light. but I don't want to use it as my main light. I want to create my main light by hand. So let's put 0.4, 0.5. I want this very bright feeling, so 0.5. So now I'm going to create a light, and there's two ways to create a light. You can go here and add a light, clicking on the light bulb, or you can click on the HDRI. So if I click on the HDRI, now I have a light, as you can see. Take this light out here. And now if I rotate this light, so if I put here to show my light, you can see there's a little light here, see? It's coming from the top, which is what I want. And it's set to directional. There's three options. Directional would be like a sunlight, which has directional rays. Spot would be like a spotlight. And Omni is it's a type of light that emits rays 360, right? So I want a sunlight, so I'm going to keep directional. For the color of the light, I can put just a little bit of color. And you can see now the shadows are very harsh. That's where the shape of the light changes. So I can change here the diameter of this light. Let me hide the guides. And you can see that the shadow now is getting more blurred. It's working. See, if I put this super big, let's put like, it gets very blurred. If we put back to 0, it gets very sharp. So we can, I'm gonna put the sunlight, when the sky is not diffused, the sunlight is very harsh, the shadow. If the sky is diffused, like what we're doing, has clouds and stuff, it tends to be a bit more blurred. You guys get that? So if you want, I can just show an example. Let's put here, sunny day. And then, hello. This photo, you can kind of see, you see how the shadow is very harsh because the sun, nothing is blocking the sun. So it's very directional shadows. If we put a cloudy day, wow, cloudy day, hopefully if we can get anything to show the shadows. See if I can find anything. Well, this one is like very cloudy, right? You can see that you barely see the direction of the shadow because it's so diffuse. Because the sun rays bouncing around the clouds and diffusing, right? If we think about the sun rays coming straight, if there's nothing going on, it's going to come super straight and bounce, and it's going to create a very harsh shadow. If we come in here, then we have all this cloud layer going on. The ray's going to bounce around the clouds, bounce it back, bounce it here, bounce it, bounce, bounce, and then the shadows gets very soft. And that's for any kind of light, right? So you can see on photos like this, it's everything feels diffused. You don't see the direction of the light, right? Where here, you can see the direction of the light because there's nothing blocking the light. So the ray's coming very directional. Cool. And that's just basic lighting stuffs. So I'm going to increase the brightness of the sun without breaking, like this much. This is very contrasty. I don't like it. So I'm going to increase my sky. I want to make it a soft lighting, okay? So if I go down on my ambient light, and if I increase my light, my main light, I create contrast, right? You can see how contrasty it is. I don't want that. I want soft lighting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my ambient light and decrease my main light, and then I get less contrast on the lighting. And you guys know I love the word contrast, but in this case, I don't want many because I want this to be a kind of soft scene. Okay. I'm not loving it. You know, what we can do also is turn off the sky for now, so we don't worry about the HDRI, and we're gonna light it, just the main lights. So I'm gonna call this light key, which will be the sun. We can set the intensity we want. So let's say we want 6.3, something like this. And then obviously when you're outside, you normally only have the sunlight, right, hitting you. But here we want to tell a story. So it might be cool to have a light coming from the back just so we can silhouette the characters a little bit. So if I go back here and you can see my light, my key light is right here. Oops. Rotate. I'll call it sun. Come on, sun. And here's the sun. And let me show guides here and turn off show guides on this viewport because I don't want to see it. Okay, so we have this here. So I'm going to duplicate this light. Duplicate. Now I'm going to come to the back, rotate in a way where we silhouette our characters a bit more, right? So I'm rotating here. Again, we can look on both. I'm going to turn off the sun just so we can see what the backlight is doing. This is normally we call backlight or rim light, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just trying to rotate in a way. Again, I'm only thinking much about my main characters here in the front, which I'm trying to get. You see how I'm getting this rim of light here? I'm getting this rim here, see? Rim, rim. A lot of subsurface on the ears, which is nice. So that is cool. One thing also about backlights that is interesting is to not make it too soft, so you can have sharp rim. Look, now it's very sharp. If I increase the shape, it starts becoming soft. So I'm gonna put a little more sharp. And the intensity, I'm gonna put a little less. That was too little. 6.1 maybe, like this. And I'm getting a lot of subsurface on this guy, which is a bit concerning to me, but we'll see. But if I turn on the sun now, we can kind of see what's going on. We get the subsurface, we get the main light. On the sun, I'm going to increase just a bit more so the shadows are a bit more soft. On the other one, you can see the shadow coming here. If you don't like the shadow from that light, you can turn off cast shadow. And then you only get the rim. It's kind of weird in Marmoset because when you turn off cast shadow, it does some weird artifacts. So I never do it, to be honest. All right. And then we can have one from the side here. And we can put a little blue tone just to, again, have a little rim on the other side. So I can just duplicate this one. So I'm going to call this rim. And this is the left side, right? Left of the image. I'm going to call rim left. Then I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to call that one rim right. And I'm going to turn off everything just so we can work on our rim light now. And I'm going to take this way. Again, I wanted just the rim. So that's pretty good. We can also rotate up a bit more like that. And again, I'm only looking at the shape here, right? Looking at what kind of contour I can get from this light. So something like this. And on this one, I'm gonna put a little bit of blue. Just so it feels like a cooling light. And again, more subsurface going on everyone's ears. I might have to lower the subsurface on the creatures because it's blowing away. All right, so if I turn on my other rim, you guys can see now both rims. And then I turn on the sun, and now we have the combo of everything together, right? But we don't have the bouncing feeling of the lights. So we did not color any of the lights. Well, this one I color with the little blue tone. I can color the back one with a little orangey. Blue and orangey are how you call it, opposite colors or complementary. I don't never remember, but they're friends, they're opposites, whatever. And they look cool when they're opposites in the scene. I'm gonna increase the sun a bit. Fine. What are your PC specs? It's a good question for me. I don't know if I know how to answer, but um, there is a way, right, to see the PC specs. Let me try. Is it in settings? No. Computer management? System? System? Okay, here. My PC settings is here. AMD Ryzen 9, 64 memory, and my graphics card is NVIDIA. It's not showing here, but it's some NVIDIA that I don't know where to see. Yeah. GPU, task manager. Okay, let me open here. Task manager. Where do you see that? I don't know. CPU, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080. Yeah, here. So my husband put this together for me. And I think it's been like 2 years now I've been using this computer. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm like you can see, like I'm not optimizing things. I'm just like throwing shit. So it it does it's good for me. It's a good friend. It's a good computer. So now that we have all this stuff, I'm gonna turn off the sky still. So we have all these things. I could play a bit more to tone the light, but I still gonna use the HDRI to give me some light. So let's try 0.6 here. 0.5. Have the same feather. Yeah, it's a good computer. Like since for a long time I used the same computer as when I was in school a long time ago. And then uh when me and my husband we got, a little more money in life, we're like, all right, let's buy a nice computer so we can have some fun and work on stuff. And so yeah. Why the pivot point change? Put it on you. He's not touching the floor here, so I'm just gonna move it down a bit. I don't understand much of computers, but we always put our computers together. Like we buy the parts. And that's always fun. I like that part. I don't know how to do it, but my husband says, put this here. And then I put it, and it's very fun. Marmoset, I think allows like gobos. Yeah. I think it's called gel here. You can use. Yeah, it's called gel. But yeah. All right. I do not like much this light, but we don't have much time today. So let's try to change a little bit the color of the sky. Just to see, do you guys have any, maybe more saturated will be cool. All right, now is the time where I need you guys to suggest things so I can add maybe a little more bounce just to see if we can get cleaner shadows here. One thing about the sampling here, again, like I said, I'd like to put about 8 to 12 here and then 14 to 16 here. Oh yeah, on the subsurface of the creature, I think instead of orange, I'm just gonna push a little more for like a red pink feeling. Just a little more, so you can see here. Also want to put some rocks around, so I might have to go back to ZBrush and just model some little rocks so we can put around. We need to work on this ground. I didn't do anything on it, to be very honest. And then we might want also to get some of those creatures and move it up a bit, like they're a bit taller, just so they don't feel all the same size. So this guy might need to, just so you can see their eyes basically, right? So I can bring this guy where we can see a little bit of his eyes. And this guy too. Yeah. See the eyes. And I think I'm gonna put more around. Yeah, I was software engineer before changing 3D art. Nice. Cool. Yeah, so we need some rocks. I don't love the lighting. I think I'm gonna have to do more work, but we don't have that much time. So if you guys have any suggestions of how the sky's feeling or what else can we do, I'm all ears. Maybe we can make the lenses a little longer still. That might be cool. So instead of 60, let's put 50. Just to get a bit more kind of like perspective, depth feeling. I do this like this, and then just to fix it, since I lost my thing, we can take this planties here, bring it back. Oops. Bring it back. Come on now. Back here. And then the other plant. Cool. Her eye level is very in the center also. So I don't know, we might need to rotate this camera a little bit, so more like so. Or make it more like we're a creature on the ground looking at them. That could be cool. Like just imagine that we are a little creature like them and we're looking at her. So we'll be looking more like down on the floor. Or we can do more from the top like this. What do you guys think? I think more from the top is better, right? You get more 3D depth. Cool. So you can see I didn't paint anything, any maps or anything. So I just brought the colors from Zbrush and put the as a vertex mode. Uh, let's see what can we do on a creature to break the roughness, because right now you can see the roughness is like a plastic. He's like, we have about 7 more minutes, so maybe let's just break the roughness on the creature just for fun and see what happens. So I'm gonna zoom in on our little creature here, and I'll show you guys. And I'm no expert painting in Marmoset, I'm gonna be very honest. So if I get stuck, it's because I don't use it as much. So let's do something on this creature. So the material for the creature is right here, this sea body too. So as I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, you need to create a painting texture project to start painting and stuff. So I'm going to click here and it creates this little texture palette. I'm going to call this creature texture. And on inside the palette, we're going to click and drag the material to link to this palette. So whatever we do in the palette is going to link to this material. Click it. By default, it's going to turn off our color. Try to want. So I'm just going to go here and albedo, go back to vertex color. All right. So now that happened, we're going to go to texture mode. You can see my UVs here. You got to have UVs if you want to do this. Unfortunately, even if you're using triplanar, you have to have it. And we're going to paint. André, meu véi. André Castro is here. Everyone stop and cry. Cry. No, everyone stop and be happy because he's here. André is just one of the most amazing Brazilian artists and person. A beautiful soul, beautiful heart. So nice to have you here, André. So yeah, so you see how right now the highlight is very like plastic. Let's see if we can get some noise in it to make it a bit more creaturey feeling. Okay. So If I go to my layers, we're gonna add a new bucket layer, right? And I only want to influence the roughness. So I'm gonna turn off all the buttons here. Just gonna leave roughness. And now we can go to the library and pick some noise to add to it. So I'm gonna put my library down here. Boop. And you can see here there's like some textures, grunge maps, and there's some noise going, right? One that I like to start, it's with the dots, just to see what it is. So there's dot sparse, dot small. Let's try the dot sparse. So I'm going to click and drag here to the roughness. And if we want to see really what's going on in roughness right now, we can go here and say texture project roughness. And you can see the dots there, right? And then remember, in roughness, black means shiny and white means super rough. So what's happening here is that everything's super shiny and there's some rough dots. Let's call, you see here, everything's very shiny and some rough dots. So I don't want that. I want mostly to be rough and some shiny dots. So we can go here, invert. So there's this button here, invert. Now you can see it's going to be mostly rough and some shiny dots. Look, mostly rough, some shiny dots. It's not contrasting enough, so we don't see much the dots, but it's there. So go back here. And also, we're using triplanar. For those of you who don't know, triplanar is love. So I don't know, Andre. Triplanar is love. So it's triplanar is gonna avoid the seams. It's gonna try to solve the seams, yada yada, all that good stuff. So what we can do here is the tiling. We can increase the tiling, let's say for like 8 by 8. And now we have a little more going on. Let's put maybe 10 by 10. And you can see what's happening. So if we want the dots to be more contrasty, there's a very easy way. There's a contrast slide here. So we can just contrast. I'm going to put a lot of contrast just so you can see. If I go back here, you can see now that most of his skin is rough and there's some shiny dots going on. You see? Look at that. Shiny dots. We don't want that necessarily like this, because what I want is like, remember that we were having like a very not broken highlight here? What I want is just to break that highlight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this very small dots. So let's say 50 by 50. 50 by 50. Very tiny to break that stuff. And again, I don't want a black and white. That's too contrasty. So I'm going to push it back a bit. And I don't want white either, because white is completely rough. That's too rough, right? So what we can do here is to, let me see if I can do. Oh, interesting. Okay. So what we can do here is I'm only thinking about the dots, how shiny the dots are going to be. So I'm only thinking of that. Look, now I'm decreasing contrast, so I'm getting a little bit back. Let's see what's going on. All right. So we're seeing some dots. I don't know if you guys can see, but I can see some dots going on. But I'm not loving it yet. So I want more contrast, like this. Let me see something. Contrast like this. What we can do is do a layering system. So this is going to be my dots. Great. Gonna make even bigger. Let's put like 70. Maybe we can try the dot small. Yeah, dots. No, let's keep dot sparse. All right. So we're gonna do this, but I'm gonna create another layer, put it in the bottom. And this bottom layer is gonna be the basic roughness of my creature. So how would be the basic roughness? So this is gonna be, I'm gonna call base rough. Again, I'm only want to change the roughness, so I'm gonna turn off all the buttons. And the base rough is gonna be pretty shiny, which is, I'm gonna put 0.4. You can see here what's going on. And now those dots that we made, I'm gonna multiply on top of our base rough. So if I go back to roughness, I'm going to turn on this guy, and I'm going to go here and say multiply. Gotta go to roughness, multiply. And now you can see that I have my base rough and I have these very shining dots. So if I go back, you can see, hopefully, that we have those dots going on. See? Dots on the speck going on. They might be too intense because they're fully black, right? So it's like almost like it's being completely a mirror, the dots. Let me go back here. So there's some stretching going on here. Shouldn't be happening because of the tri-planar, but it's doing. Maybe UV mode is better in this case. So I'm just gonna put 60. Nah, tri-planar is more organic. I don't know why it's doing that stretching on our lids, but 80 maybe. Okay, and then obviously I don't want fully black, so we can go here in the opacity and just bring the opacity down just to kind of create a little interest. So if I go back now, you can see that it's breaking, but it's not completely broken, right? All right, let's read here. Jesse said, would it be possible to use the colors for the roughness so that the blue would have more roughness than the pink? Yeah, it is possible. You can bake the colors for sure. And you can make it black and white and do that. Pedro said, you can always create masks for each part. Correct. Yes. I want to do, again, like I'm doing lazy mode here. So I want to do the minimum possible of work. We can also put a normal map, because if we put a normal map, it's going to break the surface, right? But I don't think it's needed. I don't want to go crazy. We can do the same thing to her face. Right now, the glossiness on her face is pretty, you see, it's very soft, and so we can definitely do some on her face, add some textures. So, but you guys got the idea, right? You can paint anything you want in Marmoset, the same way you would do in Substance Painter. The only thing I would say is that Marmoset is a bit more finicky on my taste. To paint inside, you gotta have more patience because it's buggy for me. One thing I forgot is to make the grass subsurfacey, right? Because grass has subsurface as well. And that's why it's kind of bothering me. So if I select the grass material, grass 1, I'm gonna add some subsurface scattering. Boop. And now you can see that the grass is softer overall. And it's too much scatter, so let's put maybe 0.3. And I'm gonna make it pink. When the light goes through, it becomes pink, a bit more pink. And if we go back to our camera, doesn't change anything. It's so blurry. But you guys got the idea. I think this blade of grass here needs to, where is it? Which one? Boom, boom, this one needs to move down a bit. Like this. Yeah, gonna have to figure it out, but we might need something more here. Go back to classic. We're running out of time. Do you guys have any final questions before we go our ways, separate ways? So oh yeah, before I go, actually, I would love if you guys could help me choose which archetype we should do next, because next week we're gonna start something new. I'm gonna keep working on this and I'll bring it for you guys to see. But next week we're supposed to start something new. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna show now the archetypes, and then we can choose what we want to do next. Start 3. I'll take this, so I'm gonna go insane. Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave it here so we can see what's going on. And Uh, Pedro said, for stylized skin bump, do you tend to do with small or bigger bumps? I do very tiny. I'm gonna do on her, and then I can show you guys next week just to show what I did on her skin. I do very little tiny bumps, very stylized, kind of like Turning Red. If you look at images of the movie Turning Red, it's kind of like what I like to do, which is just enough to create some fun stuff, but not too much, you know. I think this grass needs to get be smaller and go more. Okay. All right. So for now, let's call this done. This is what we did on this past month and a week or something. And it was super fun. I still gonna put some rocks, as I said, and play around with the lighting. I'm not super excited about this lighting, but you guys got the idea. All right. So before we finish the stream, let's choose what's gonna be our uh, next project. So let me open here the archetypes, and you guys will help me choose. Minimize this. And we have here are the archetypes. So we're gonna together here mark this one done. So the innocent is done. So we have the explorer, the rebel, the hero, jester, freeman, and lover. All right. If any of you care about what we're gonna do next, please put on the chat so we can do a voting on before. I'll give you guys 3 minutes to vote, and then we can close the stream and we can start next week a whole new project. So if you didn't watch this one since the beginning, you have a chance now to start something new. All right, we got 1 vote for rebel. Who gives it more? 1 vote for rebel. 2 votes for rebel. It was such a pleasure learning on this archetype with you. Yay! I'm glad. This was so fun. So fun. We got a vote for Jester. Lover. All right, we're gonna close it soon. I already saw your work as love, so Rebel. All right, 1 more for Rebel. Everyman. 1 more for Jester. Rebel. All right. You guys want to take me out of my comfort zone. I see. Jester. Explorer. 1 vote for Explorer. All right. We're in between Rebel and Jester. So yeah, Rebel contrast from Innocent. So yeah, we can definitely work on that. We have 5 now. Do you guys have any questions about what we did today? If you never play with Marmoset, I highly recommend. They're not paying me to say this. It's just like a very nice software to. It's easy. It's very easy software to click around. Not the painting. The painting is not that easy, but it's mid easy. But it's a very nice software to test lights, to play around, bring your models. Again, I bring as FBX, so it comes with all the subtools together. It's very nice. Leticia Jinx Gillett. I want to see this. Yeah. Oh god. Rebel. All right. So I guess everyone chose the most votes for Rebel. So this is what we're gonna start next Sunday. So if you want to see again from scratch, we're gonna start the Rebel next Sunday. So we're gonna do the research. Where's the Rebel here? Rebel. Where is it? Jester or outlaw? Oh, it's a different name. Might be this one. I don't know. We're gonna have to see. But I heard people compare Marmoset and Keyshot. What's the difference? Oh, Marmoset and Keyshot. I haven't used Keyshot in a long time. I'm gonna tell you, so I cannot judge because Keyshot I used the first versions, which was pretty raw, but I'm sure they evolved a lot. But Marmoset for me, it's just where I feel comfortable, to be honest. But Keyshot might be great, also. I just don't use it. Great insights. Thank you so much for the stream. Yeah, no problem, Kat. Gabrielle said, by the way, Chris just posted a. Yes, let me show Chris' work here before we finish. So, my husband, Chris, those of you who don't know, that's Chris, my husband. He works at Riot. And he just posted this super cool model he did. So, let's check it out. And here we go. Yay, he just finished this morning. I saw him working. Check it out. It's pretty cool. And yeah, so for our character, we could do something more instead of like a story, more like a character. And then I can show you guys how to put a simple rig in Maya and pose the character in Maya instead of posing in ZBrush. And then we can do different poses, just like what Chris did here, which he has this pose and then he has this pose going on. And so with the rig, we can just, do as many poses as we want. Cool. So I'm promoting my husband here because I'm shameless and I love him. So yeah, go check out his work. I'm gonna like. I'm gonna write beautiful. Yeah, and heart post. All right. Cool. Well, we're over time, but we chose we're gonna do the rebel next week. So I hope you guys enjoy what we did this past few weeks doing this little scene. I'm gonna keep evolving, and then I show you all on the next stream. But this is where we're gonna stop with this one. And thanks for the stream, getting great insights into Marmoset. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, no problem. You guys have a nice rest of Sunday. See you all next Sunday. Bye. Let me put the video on. All right, bye for real now. Bye.